Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Press Pause with Jouhayna. On today's episode, I have somebody who I've never met anybody doing such a job. She is an etiquette and protocol expert, Israa Shaheen. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on the show. It means a lot. When I first launched the first season, you literally slid in my DMs. You're like, have me on the show. Let's collaborate. And I was like, okay. So
yes,
it's a passion project that I decided to start. So far, I've only been working with my network. So you're the first guest who I literally did not know at all. And I made a list of guests I don't know who want to come on the show, and you were at the top of the list. So yeah.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. And yes, I rarely slide into anyone's DM and tell them have you on your show. But I could sense from the episode you did with Majdal, who I know online actually, that there's something very authentic in the way you present, the questions you ask, that you're really interested in your guest. I could see that there's a lot of effort behind the whole show. So I'm like, yeah, I want to be there.
Yeah, it's been something I worked on for over a year, and I was always very shy to start. Like, I'm a very extroverted and outward person, but to press play to do this, it took like a really big decision to do. So that's why I was like, I'm only going to do 2 shoots per month. Like, the team behind the scenes, they were like, oh, you do 2 a month. You can do 2 days, right? I'm like, yeah. And then it was less overwhelming, and that's how we do it. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for sliding in my DMs. And I appreciate that you can see the detail. Maybe it's because of the line of work that you're in. But yeah, everything has been thought of, from the mugs to the mics to what you have in your mug.
I can tell.
You know,
yes.
So thank you so much for appreciating that, because not everybody knows what happens behind the scenes. So thank you. So now we're going to go into a rapid fire round. Everyone's going to get to know you real quick. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So 1 minute sound timer. When it's done, we're done.
Okay.
And I've changed it up this season, so I'm excited.
Yay.
Color.
Olive green.
Ooh, very specific. Destination.
Palestine.
Emotion.
Happiness.
Social media.
Instagram.
Dessert.
Tiramisu.
Oh, love. Hobby.
Cross-stitching.
Superpower.
Flying.
Animal.
I have phobia from all animals, but
yes.
I'll say penguin.
Oh, I like penguins.
They're cute.
Day of the week.
Monday.
Song.
Oof.
Feel free to sing.
It's French, la main dans la main.
Oh, I don't know.
For Faudel. Yeah, you wouldn't.
Season.
Autumn.
Hidden talent.
Mind reading.
Oh. I need to know more for sure. And that's all the time we have. That is so interesting. Mind reading.
Yeah.
Is it because of the line of work you're in?
I don't mind read, but you can tell what people are thinking of by reading their body language and their facial expression. I'm not a mind reader whatsoever, but I wish I can be one, actually.
Is it like micro expressions? Like, you can see how their mouth moves a little or their eye twitches and
Yes, but at the same time, I think when you practice something for so long, like training, you start noticing, like the participants in the training session, for example, I start noticing who's a bit, let's say, bored, they want to leave, they need a break, they have a question, but they're holding it back. Okay. So you start reading people. So I'm not a mind reader as what you're thinking of, but I can read how you're feeling at the moment. And I think it's a skill that all trainers need, honestly, to be able to run a room full of people, basically, yeah.
Is that something you learned, or did it come naturally to you and then you nurtured that?
I learned it, but at the same time, I caught it when I practiced as well. And the thing is that you need to balance when you train. You need to balance between giving, because you're talking, and at the same time reading others. So you train, you know your material so well to a point that you train without giving it all your thought, because you need part of your thoughts to be reading people.
Okay.
And noticing. Sometimes, for example, we have a break at 10:30, but by 10:15, I can tell that they're already tired. They need a break. I'm like, how about we go on a break, guys? They're like, yes, of course. Why? Because they start moving in their places. They start moving towards the exit. They start looking at their phones or at their watches or anything. So yes, you start reading people as well.
And how did you get into such a career? It's so unique. You literally are the first person I've ever met and even followed online that does what you do.
Okay, so I got into my career, or so I did the career shift 10 years ago, which is a long time ago, actually. I got this advice from the training manager at the university I used to work in, and I told her that I want to become a trainer. And I got the whole train the trainer, and I started thinking of shifting my career, and then she said, find a niche market.
Okay.
And that was it. This is one of the best advices I have ever got. And when I did my research, online, offline, I looked at my books, the ones I keep at home. I found one book that is titled the Etiquette book. I already had it. My brother got me that book 6 years earlier as a gift, like out of the blue. And I remember that I've read it already, and I went through it again. I skimmed it, and I'm like, this is very interesting. I love the topic. Do they train, or do people only read books on that topic? And apparently there are schools in Europe and the States. They call it finishing schools, where they
I've
teach
seen that.
people etiquette, yes. And we don't have any around in the Middle East. And back then, when I decided to become a certified trainer and consultant in etiquette and protocol, I think we were 4 in the country.
Oh, wow.
Maybe.
Was it something you
4.
studied in the UAE?
No, not really. I started taking the courses in the UAE, like the two days courses, like the ones you have at different institutes. But then I went to London for the Europe Protocol School.
Okay.
And then I became certified. And then a few years later, I went to Protocol Bureau in Brussels for another course. So yes, I had to travel to learn that.
And how long did that take?
Couple of weeks in general, but with like very extensive, very let's say it was full of knowledge, and it was very heavy as in material. One of the courses, like we used to stay until 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. during the course, like it's a full day. And when I say full day, not our full day.
Yeah.
Not the 8 to 2 or 8 to 4. It's like, 8 to 10, you know, like it's a 14 hours full day.
Wow.
And it was really interesting. And I'm still in contact with both schools. So, and I'm actually on one of the trainers at one of the schools now as well.
Oh,
they call me the Middle Eastern expert there. So
you are.
Yes.
And so because of what you do, I wanted to ask you, what would be 3 things to keep in mind for people wanting to visit the UAE that you feel would be nuggets of knowledge for them to come in and have the proper etiquette and protocol when interacting with people here?
Okay, so I would actually advise them not to think about the UAE as one culture. So whatever is accepted in Dubai might not be very accepted in other Emirates. So to understand that there are a bit of differences in the culture. Dubai is more open, it's more multicultural. Sharjah, and the more you go north, it's more conservative, as we all know. So when they say to the UAE, they need to understand where in the UAE they are. That is one thing that I really love highlighting every time I'm asked about the UAE. Another thing is that hospitality is literally one of the top 5 values for Emirati people.
Yeah.
So out of hospitality, they might be asked to visit someone at their own place, at their house. So not to feel that it's a bit weird, or why am I visiting someone? Even if they're meeting them for business, they might end up being invited at someone's home. So that is out of hospitality, and it might sound a bit different for other cultures. Number 3 is that despite the fact that women, like Emirati women, are so empowered now, mashallah, like I really look up to the empowerment they get and support they get from the government, the positions they're holding and everything, we still have that extra respect for women when they deal with them, even in business. So in business, we always say business is gender neutral and age neutral. Yes, but not in all cultures. We still have a different way of dealing with women. There are more restrictions when we deal with women, whether it was in physical and personal space, whether it was in handshakes. So there is a couple of limitations, and I'd like to highlight them as respect when it comes to dealing with Emirati women.
Yeah, it's true. Because even when I was sent for a conference abroad, to try and explain to people why so I don't mind shaking hands, but the girl who was with me, she doesn't shake hands. So I didn't know that the first time we were mingling with everyone.
Yes.
So I would go and shake hands. I'm like, hi, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Jouhayna, and we were trying to invite them to Abu Dhabi for the next conference.
Okay.
And then she stood next to me, and she just stood there, just like, I don't shake hands. And people almost got offended. So I was like, okay, we have to go hand in hand.
Yes.
Like, we have to work together with this. And then I would explain what it is, because she felt shy. I was like, don't worry, I got this.
Yeah, so it's not very familiar for other cultures.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, for her, it was a culture shock, because all the women and men were like very friendly and hugging and kissing each other. Like, it wasn't like a mouth kiss, but very close. Yes. And she's like, what is happening? Yeah. And I was like, it's a culture. It's a shift in culture. So she got culture shocked. They got culture shocked. And then when hopefully to bring that conference to the UAE, they came to me because they felt like I was mixed in the middle of both worlds. Yeah. And they're like, you need to teach us how to act when we come there. I was like, don't worry. And now I met you online.
Send them to me.
We need to have a whole workshop and just have you at the start of the conference.
Actually, it's one of the most interesting sessions I've ever done, or projects I worked on. I had to fly exactly before COVID to Estonia.
Okay.
To deliver a training on the Emirati cultural etiquette, because the Estonian government, before sending their delegation and the employees there to Expo 2020, they wanted to introduce them to the Emirati culture. And I literally had to visit Estonia for that. So yes, I can tell you that there are many nationalities and cultures out there that are very interested in understanding and learning before visiting, because anyways, after all, when you learn all of this, you avoid making mistakes, you avoid embarrassment, and you make sure that you're respecting the people of the country you're visiting, which is great for a first impression, for example.
Okay. That's so interesting. Ooh, I feel like I've learned so much from you already, and it's literally only been a few minutes.
My pleasure.
And also, what are your biggest pet peeves? Like, being in such a career.
In which topic exactly, or in which? Give me an example of a situation. Or is it dining? Is it meeting people? Is it networking?
Okay, the last pet peeve you felt. Oh, I have when you were around a situation and you were like.
Honestly, I
the latest one.
I have many pet peeves related to eating and dining, and they trigger me because I can literally lose my appetite when someone does a specific mistake. So I cannot stand people who chew while they have, like, with their mouth open. I just can't stand that. Okay. A fun fact about me, I have a very, very strong hearing sense, so I tend to hear everything.
Oh.
And when it comes to eating, I can hear like all the noises people make when they eat. So yes, eating with their mouth open and double dipping is something that literally kills me.
Okay.
Like when people eat, eat and then dip the rest of the piece they have. Yeah, when it comes to dining, I have many pet peeves.
Okay. I need to learn from you, honestly, because my mom, growing up, she would watch me eat, and she's just like, I don't know how anyone's going to ever marry you. And I was like, oh, watch me. So, yeah, like, I definitely need to learn, because, like, everywhere we would go, like, I just give up eventually. I'm just going to eat with my hands, and if something flies on the other side of the room, so be it. Like,
okay.
Yeah, I know. So we'll stick to podcasts only.
We can sit and talk.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I would love to learn that, because I feel like I didn't have that education growing up. So I got the feedback of, you'd need better manners, but then never the proper education to do
you need the resource.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you would have come in so handy 20 years ago. Like,
I can still come in handy now.
Exactly.
So, actually, what's interesting is that some people think, and they always ask me, so why do you teach dining etiquette when it comes to business? Like, we're here to do business. We're not here to dine. But sometimes you get invited to business lunch or business dinner or a networking event where food is involved.
Exactly.
And the last thing you want is to get overwhelmed by the setup.
Yeah.
And not to concentrate on the connections you're supposed to be building, basically, or the communication that's supposed to take place, or the conversations and so on. So when you learn the basics, at least, you take that pressure off yourself and can concentrate on meeting people, networking, talking, discussing, negotiating, whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't do that, you'll get overwhelmed, or you'll end up leaving the not very pleasant first impression, if it's a first impression.
Exactly, because I believe first impressions are so important.
Yeah.
And if I'm brought out to eat, I get so nervous. I just sit there and I'm like, not hungry yet.
Yeah,
you know.
So we can avoid all of this by just learning.
And I didn't even realize I experienced that until we spoke about this, because it just takes me back to, like, I'll wear a darker abaya because I'm pretty sure something will end up on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the only time I never made a mess, and I know people are going to think I eat like a savage now, but like the only time I never made a mess is when I went for dark dining with my closest friend. And she's like, Jouhayna, we should experience dark dining. And I was like, cool.
You didn't make a mess in dark dining?
No.
How?
And I was wearing a white abaya because I didn't think about it. I was like I finished the night shift. I was tired. And I was like, oh, this is the first freshest one from the laundry. So I just put it on. And then we got there and they gave us blindfolds.
Wow.
And in my crispy white abaya, not even a single dribble. We went out after to have karak.
I think
abstract art.
I think you get nervous when you can see what's happening.
Yeah.
Like you get overwhelmed by what's in front of you. The moment you can't see anymore, you were fine with it.
Yeah, I think I'm like
That's
I need to become like a little hooded falcon because I did not make a mess and I guessed. So she had a dietary limitation.
Okay.
So they brought out a dish for her and I'm like, eggplant. And the woman is like, how did you know?
Yeah, because they took away one of your senses.
Exactly.
That's it.
She was shocked. She's like, no one's ever gotten that. And then even Sarah, she was the one who I went to lunch with. She's like, how did you guess that? And I was like, I could feel it. and then she was like, oh, Jouhayna, your whole outfit's going to look like a painting after. And it didn't. And I was like, I'm so shocked. But you're right. Maybe the being around food overwhelms me to like look at it and eat.
Probably, yes. So when you don't see it, you don't feel overwhelmed and you're doing just perfectly fine.
Wow.
We're going to work on it while you can see. Not with a blindfold.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk more after this episode because I feel like not only did I learn a lot from you, but I've learned about myself already.
I'm a coach as well, so I might end up asking you some questions.
You're more than welcome. This is your episode. Like, even when you walked in, you're like, Jouhayna, I feel like I'm running the show. I'm like, because you are.
Perfect.
So the name of the show is called Press Pause.
Yes.
So if we were to quite literally press pause on your life right now, in any form you would like to express yourself, what does it look like?
My day right now, like a normal day.
How your normal day, what your life looks like in general, if we were to literally pause and take a glimpse.
So my days are not very normal because the kind of job I have or the kind of work I do is that some days I have work, some days I don't because I'm an independent trainer. Mm-hmm. On the day that I have training, I wake up super early. I leave my place, which is in Sharjah, by 6 a.m. I drive all the way to my favorite coffee shop. I have my coffee, I read, I journal, and then I drive to the training venue, whether it was the client or at a hotel. Mm-hmm. By the end of the training, I either stay in Dubai, I run errands, I meet friends, or I just drive back to Sharjah and chill at home until the end of the day. So that's a working day for me. Mm-hmm. On a non-working day, the fun begins. I always look for events or activities to do when I'm not working. Mm-hmm. So maybe I go for yoga early morning. Maybe I meet a friend for breakfast, for example. I spend a lot of time with my parents as well. So
that's nice.
Yes,
they're here.
Yes, that's why I live in Sharjah, basically.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I was born and raised in the UAE. That's why my parents are around, I'm around them actually. So yeah, on the days I don't work, my day is very irregular. Like I can be in Abu Dhabi for one day to see my friends. I work a lot in Abu Dhabi as well, so I drive a lot. But I have some rituals that I keep, so I feel grounded all the time, whether I have work or not.
Okay.
So I think rituals are what keep me, are what, I use it to stay grounded and to feel that there is a bit of familiar vibe for my day. Mm-hmm. Coffee in the same coffee mug, I journal at a specific time, that there are some things to keep me grounded, basically.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I'm a shift worker, so every day is so
totally
different.
Totally.
Yeah. And the mix of emotions and the mix of what I'm going to do with my day, it's so different every day, and it's been like that for like a decade. It's intense.
And people who have like a regular job or they go to the same place every day and they work 5 days a week, they cannot relate to that.
Yeah.
So for example, when someone asks me what time do you prefer I call you, I'm like, which day?
Yeah, exactly.
It actually depends because I cannot take calls when I'm training. So if you call me on a training day, from 8 to 4, I'm not going to pick up. Even during the break, I don't pick up because I don't want to lose the momentum and the vibe. And sometimes, most of the time during the breaks, I do network with the participants. They have questions and so on. Yeah. And on a normal day where I don't work, you can literally call me anytime from 9 a.m. onwards. And probably from 9 a.m. to midnight, I sleep very late. So even my sleeping pattern is different. I don't have a pattern, actually.
So you're a shift worker as well.
Yeah, like, totally.
Yes.
I'm a shift worker,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm an independent trainer and consultant, so...
And what made you shift from that? You mentioned you were working in a university?
Yes.
Okay.
I was working at the university where I did my master's in the University of Dubai, and while I loved the people around me, honestly, and like the last manager I had was Dr. 𝐸𝐵𝐫𝐸. He's the president of the university. And I looked up to him. I really loved working with him. And I remember on my farewell, he said, "You'll never find a boss better than me." I'm like, I know I'll never find someone. But I just felt that I cannot take the 9 to 5 anymore.
Okay.
It didn't make sense to me as a lifestyle, as a career, not the job itself, but the lifestyle that goes around it, or the career style, let's call it. So I started looking for something that is more, where I work with people more, and at the same time, it's more flexible. I couldn't take the kind of job where you have to go to the same place at the same time every single day, meet the same people. So I just needed something more flexible, and training was the answer.
I feel you on that because as a shift worker, I meet most of the same people, but it always changes. And then to wake up every day at the same time, I really struggle with. Like, I am so tired. Like, I work 2 morning, 2 afternoon, 2 nights. By my second morning, I'm like, why do I have to work 2 shifts the same in a row?
Oh.
So I feel you on that. Like, definitely. It's nice to have a change in routine. And it's interesting that you also like to meet different people. And is that what pushed you towards having a career shift? Like, did you have to feel... like, did you have a little nest egg that in case it doesn't work out, you'll go back to that? Or you just...
Honestly, deep down inside, I knew that I can go back to the university at any moment.
Okay.
I knew it.
Okay.
I wasn't just an employee. I'm an alumni from that university. So it does feel like home. It still feels like home. I was the MC for their event last Ramadan, for example. Nice. I love working with them all the time. But at the same time, I needed the change. I needed to move. I knew that I can always fall back to my university, to be honest with you. So did I take some risk? Not really. I couldn't feel that it's risky.
Okay.
Deep down inside, I knew that I needed to shift. I needed the move. I need to test the water as a trainer. I need to test the whole etiquette and protocol field in the Middle East. And deep down inside, I told myself it's either now or never, because 10 years ago, I was single, I don't have kids, I don't have responsibilities. So I'm like, now, before you get committed to something bigger than you, to a bigger project, like a long-term project, which is marriage and kids. I'm still single with no kids, but I'm happy that I took the step, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm so proud of you for doing that, because it's a very big shift. And, you know, you knew you were good at and you were comfortable in the place you studied in. You had a job, you liked your boss, which is a rarity. Like, alhamdulillah, you are blessed with this.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm just so happy for you to have been able to have that experience and have such a shift and stay in it for 10 years.
Yes, it's 10 years now.
Wow.
Which is, I don't feel it's 10 years, but I learned a lot and I changed a lot.
Of course.
The way I deal with people, with projects, with clients, the way I train, the examples I give, how comfortable I am around people, everything changed, honestly.
Wow.
I can sense the growth, basically.
I feel you on that, because even for me, like, I was 19 when I got recruited, and that's a big shift. I grew up in
literally,
the place that I worked in. So I do feel such a big shift, but I feel like people still remember me as that little 19-year-old.
You were 19.
Yeah.
You were literally a teenager.
I wasn't even an adult yet. I wasn't even legal.
Yes, you're a teenager, and you're like,
and then I was like,
of course you grew.
I'm here to learn how to control airplanes.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's great. So that's another, like, mind-blowing career, by the way.
Yeah, it's exhausting, but it allows me to have the podcast in my house. So here we are.
Amazing.
But yeah, that's awesome. So if we were to press rewind, you know, you mentioned 10 years ago.
Yes.
What would be your first memory? And then just take us from there. Like, what's the first memory to pop into your head?
I don't remember much, honestly. Like, I have good memory these days, like in the last couple, but I don't remember much from my childhood.
Okay.
I don't know why. But if I look back, there is one memory. I'm not sure if it's the first, but it really stands out. Probably because we had videos and photos. So when you have those,
That helps.
yes. So and when your parents tell you a lot about a specific incident or a specific thing that happened, you remember it so clearly because they fed that memory. So I always remember my 6th birthday.
Okay.
We had a video and we had photos, of course, of that. And I think my mom just invited the whole class. And it was a big party. I was 6 and I partied like there's no tomorrow. I was dancing and jumping. I was so happy and not full of life, like so excited. Like some kids on their birthdays, they're like, drama.
You didn't get me the gift
Exactly.
I
And I was wearing this red skirt and black top. Even the colors were not very childish, like very on point. I have short hair. I had short hair, like the __𝐻𝐿 cut, so like the boy. And I was so French. And when I look at the photos these days, I'm like, who is that?
Wow.
I loved my 6th birthday.
That's awesome. I love
So
that.
I really remember it very clearly. I'm not sure if it's the first. I don't think I remember anything from preschool or before going to school. I don't remember much, no.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like most of them are stories and pictures.
Yes.
That the parents feed into you. For me, I remember the birthday I can remember, since you mentioned that, was I used to love wearing princess dresses. So that was my whole closet. Like,
Okay.
why do you want me to wear anything else?
I'm a princess.
Yeah, I'm a princess. And my grandma used to make my hair is already naturally curly, but she would like make them into ringlets.
Okay.
And I'll just walk around in it. Yeah. And I danced with like literally everyone. I was like, there's a quality in this party. I danced with every single person. And then I was like, all right, my favorite one now. Let's go.
No way.
Yeah,
I love
that's what it
little
reminded
girls.
me of.
Yeah.
Like
Little girls are like everything, honestly.
it's like we were all just so badass, like that young. Like we're just like, we're princesses. I'm French.
Totally.
Yes. I wish we
my
had that
hair,
ballsiness now.
No, we just don't. I don't know what... I actually know what happens, and we just lose it. We all know what happens with the years.
Yeah, like society, social
Everything.
pressure.
Limiting beliefs,
Yeah.
the comments you get, the bullying,
Exactly.
the people who try to fix you, but you don't need fixing.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. The people who around you who tell you that you can't, and who give you that advice that leaves a mark on you rather than fixing you or changing you or
Yeah, I agree.
or improving you. And it's usually the closest people to you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Like even before we started rolling, I was talking to you about like my journey with embracing my natural dark features, and the decision to stop wearing colored lenses was very hard. Like, because I've been wearing them since I was 13. So I remember for me, it was actually a positive comment that led to a negative result. So I was told, the first time I remember being told I was pretty is when I changed my appearance and had colored eyes. So that was deeply ingrained in me. And every time I would go out, the first comment is your eyes, because it's not common for a person of my complexion to have lighter eyes. So that was actually a positive comment that led to a negative result. And now I'm like, okay, I had to get used to looking at myself. Like I would watch the podcast and I would just like fast forward and like, okay, let's just watch what the guest says, because I was so not used to seeing
You have
my
gorgeous
natural eyes. Thank you.
Gorgeous eyes.
Thank you. I'm like playing around with eyeshadow this season. I'm like, let's match it with that bias. So I'm trying to play around with it. But yeah, I agree. Like even positive comments, when you think you're being kind, can actually lead to something negative.
Since we're talking about childhood and comments and what they can do to you. So I have one of my sisters, her name is Amira. She is now extremely fit, mashallah. She used to be skinny. And we have less than 2 years gap between us. So I'm older. And at school, when we go to the parents' day, where the parents go to meet the teachers, I was in the Rosary School in Abu Dhabi, so I was born and raised here. So the teachers would see me and Amira next to each other. We don't look alike. I used to be chubby, and she's super skinny, and all of them would make the same comment. Oh, do you eat Amira's food at home?
I hate that.
What do you expect that comment would do to you? Forget about being a child. Like when you're growing up, when you're like closer to 10, 12 years old, your relationship with food, you'll either stop eating totally, or you'll emotionally eat.
Exactly. Same.
And then you gain weight, and then you suffer with your weight for like 10, 15 years. And then every time you lose weight, someone will tell you, oh, but you know what? Great, bravo, but if you lose another 5 kgs.
Yeah. For me, the comment was, just a little more.
Yeah.
Just a little more.
And that comment would trigger you to gaining the weight you lost and more 5 kgs that they wanted you to lose.
Exactly.
So honestly, and by the way, this takes us to etiquette. So some people would always ask me, what is etiquette? And how do I know? It's different from one country to another, from one culture to another. I always tell them, if you take into consideration the feelings of the person in front of you before you speak or act, you're applying etiquette. That's it.
It's as simple as that.
Yes. Think about how your words are going to make me feel or how your behavior or action is going to make me feel. You're applying etiquette. That's it.
That's a good, simple tip.
It's very simple. Think about you telling me that, you know what, it's a nice dress, but I think you look better in in a shorter dress or a longer dress. You just complimented the dress and you're like, yeah, but you look better if you wear something else. Did you apply any etiquette? Definitely not.
Yeah. Interesting. I like that tip.
Yeah.
Just spread kindness and think about the other person and like just to be considerate.
Take 3 seconds, literally 3 seconds to, for example, if you're walking into a room or any place and you didn't hold the door for the person behind you because you didn't think about them, the door will slam in their face. They have coffee in their hand and they will spill it on their white t-shirt on that day, and you ruin their day by not thinking about someone else. Or take 2 seconds from your 24 hours, hold the door for the person behind you. That's it.
Exactly. It doesn't take a lot.
Don't look who's behind you. Don't think whether it's a lady or a gentleman. Is he older? Is he younger?
Yeah.
I don't care about that. Just hold it for the person behind you.
Exactly.
Because we don't live alone in this world after all.
No,
right?
we don't. We're very heavily populated.
Exactly. So if you think about other people, people will think about you. That's it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I have noticed that as well. Like, if I made the decision to not be considerate of others, they won't be as considerate of me.
Of course.
But then sometimes you will just be around people that aren't considerate at all. And in those moments, I have to remind myself to kill with kindness. Like, choose to be what you want in the world instead of fighting fire with fire.
And you might eventually be leading by example.
Exactly.
So maybe when you're kind to someone who's unkind, they will get inspired.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I recently experienced that with somebody I had a lot of friction with. And no matter what, and no matter, everybody around me was saying, you have to fight back. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I'm like, for them to, because I was going through like a little bit of like I was just in my feelings. Like, I'm just having like a blue week, And then I was outwardly not as kind as I usually would be to the people around me. And then when I was thinking to myself, I'm like, this person who was so mean to me, like, they must have so much poison inside them to be that cruel.
Wow.
And then that's when I was like, oh, you really do have to kill with kindness because, if somebody's looks really hot temperature, like, oh, what's wrong with them? Actually, probably a lot. So cut them a little bit of slack.
Yes. And when someone is unkind to you, the problem is with most people is that they take it personal.
Yeah.
But if you're unkind to me, something is wrong with you, not with me.
Exactly.
So if you only look inwards and you think, what's wrong? Why they're treating me like that? You can think about what is wrong with them. What are they going through? Why are they being so mean, for example, or disrespectful and so on? I'm not saying to tolerate disrespect.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just think about others when you deal with them. Think about, especially at work, think about that each and every employee, there is a human being behind them. And you have no idea what kind of pressure or issues or problems they're going through in their personal life. So most people forget that employees are human beings at the same time.
Very true. What was it like growing up here?
It was Abu Dhabi. I was born and raised in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
I still, literally, it still melts my heart to go there. I go there very often. And Abu Dhabi was so different back in I was born in 1988, so my childhood was in the 90s. And my father has been here since the late 70s. So he witnessed it all.
Yeah.
But for us, Abu Dhabi was so cozy, so welcoming, so family-oriented.
I agree. I feel like Abu Dhabi is very good to raise a family.
And so classy at the same time. And back then, like, it's a small society. It's a tiny society, basically. And I had the best memories in Abu Dhabi.
So nice.
We don't have many family members around, like the extended family, but everyone around us are friends. So we had many friends there because most of them, just like my dad, they came in the 70s, early 80s, and they stayed. And I still visit my family friends whenever I go there. So
nice.
they're the closest people to me. So Abu Dhabi was so good to me when I was a child. It is so good to me now. Every time I go, I literally post on my social media, on my Instagram, like, Abu Dhabi, you're always so good to me.
Yeah, I saw that actually.
Yes.
Like, 2-3
I
days
was
ago
there, I
max.
guess.
Yeah.
I'm always there. I have many clients there. I work with an academy called 𝐷 in Abu Dhabi. It's an amazing academy, like prestige, diplomacy, everything. So I work closely with Emiratis in Abu Dhabi as well.
Nice.
Dubai is more multicultural, but Abu Dhabi is very Emirati for me.
Yeah, I agree. Like, even when I've gone to do any motivational speaking or like a workshop, it's always like all Emiratis in the room. And because I struggle to speak Arabic fluently and with confidence, I have to have an interpreter with me.
No way.
Yeah. And people are shocked by that. And the first thing I do, I walk in and I'm like, thank you for your patience, but I really hope that I can connect with you, even though it's not me sharing the words. And the interpreter, the comment I got from her was, you're so good at stopping, because most people just go on and on.
Yes.
And I would stop. And I was like, this is what air traffic control taught me, because you have to give pilots maximum 2 things to say back to you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because otherwise it's going to be difficult for them, because you're giving a really important instruction to navigate skies safely. So if you give more than 2, they might jumble it up. Of course. You know? So I didn't realize I was doing the same with her, even though I never worked with an interpreter before. So I was
But this is how you communicate.
Exactly. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have an interpreter everywhere I go for all languages. I am ready. I've been trained for this.
Oh my God.
Without even
I've always been fascinated by interpreters and languages.
Yeah.
My sister suddenly learned American Sign Language.
My mom is studying that as well right now.
No way.
Yeah.
She started studying it, and then she started teaching it. And
Nice.
and she's not an interpreter, but she understands Arabic, English, and ASL.
Mashallah.
And now she's doing a PhD related to that. So it popped
That's
up out of the
amazing.
blue, and she found her passion. So I've always been mesmerized by languages and interpreters.
Oh,
It's interesting.
yeah. Like my mom, I think she speaks 12 languages now. Yeah,
Mashallah.
because she just, she's in her 60s and she's like, I need to learn something new. So she got tired of learning verbal languages. And
Okay.
that's why she started learning ASL.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Mashallah.
Exactly. What was the youngest age group that you can teach etiquette to?
Love this question. I literally love it, because yesterday one of the participants at the training I was delivering, he asked me about his son. He's 10, and he said, I'm trying to teach him stuff, and he's not very, teachable, basically. Is it too early? And his son is 10. And I'm like, of course it's not too early. Because if you can send your son or daughter to school to learn languages, Islamic studies, math, science, of course you can teach them manners.
Yeah. That's
Why not?
So well put.
Why not?
Yeah,
So
it's true.
I'm sure manners are easier to teach more than science and math, for example. So I still remember my mom, since I was really, really young, saying, Isra, when you sit down, keep your legs together. That's manners. That's etiquette. How you sit, how you talk, how you speak, how you deal with people, how you respect people who are older than you, how you play with your friends, how you share. So what's the earliest age that I think can be taught? Whenever they are ready to be sent to school. That's it. If they can go to school, they can learn etiquette. And I'm sure parents are teaching etiquette, or in Emirati, you call it sana, by the way. So sana, etiquette, whatever you want to call it, they teach us at a very early stage, even before we go to school. I once asked my mom about one of my friend's son. He eats and he doesn't close his mouth while he's chewing. And I asked my mom later on, Mom, at what age do you teach a child? Because some mothers, they'll tell you, just let him be. I'm just happy that he eats.
Yeah.
And I asked my mom, I'm like, at what age did you start teaching us to keep our mouth closed? And she said, the moment you started chewing. I will not tell you to close your mouth. I'll show you. And I'll just say, Mama, look at me. And I'll chew with my mouth closed. So it doesn't mean like a child has to be 7 for him or her to understand that, I don't know, they shouldn't make any noises or sounds while they're eating. So if they're ready for school, I'm sure they are ready to learn some manners.
Do you feel like the the etiquette your mom taught you could have been part of why you chose this? Like, yeah?
100%.
Oh, I love that.
100%. My mom is very precise when it comes to manners. She loves manners. She made sure that we were raised up in a very, I wouldn't say strict way, but very well mannered. She sent us to Rosary School. We are Muslims. She sent us to a Christian school. Why? She said because nuns know how to raise kids.
Oh, okay.
So she believed in nuns and the way they are going to raise us up. And she used to tell Sister Adeline, may she rest in peace, she used to tell her, I'm at home and you're in school. You have the full power to, especially me because I was such a rebel as a teenager. It's like you have the full power to literally teach her everything, not only, I don't know, the subjects at school. So, yes, my mom had a huge influence, and my mom was very interested in royal families as well.
Okay.
So I remember her going through magazines back in the days and telling me, look at this princess, look at that queen, what they're wearing, how she's sitting. And until this very day, my mom sends me Instagram posts about current queens and princesses.
I love that.
Until this very day, she sends me videos and posts on Instagram, sharing with me like whatever comes across. Yeah,
that's so nice.
So yes, she's definitely like part of the journey.
Oh, I love that. And if we were to press fast forward in your life, what do you envision?
Tough question. I knew it's coming, but it's a tough one. Career-wise, I can see that I'm running my own institute.
Okay.
Which is something I've been shying away from for so long. But I can see that I'm running it. And I every time I get asked about the future, I see one image. Me living in a house. The ground floor is the institute.
Okay.
And the first floor, it's like half of the space of the ground where I'm living there. It's just a small space for me where I live. And I can see or oversee the institute down. So it's like one story and a half, you know? I don't know where. Probably Abu Dhabi. I hope. Yeah, I think it's Abu Dhabi. I don't know when. But I keep having the same image. And I don't see any people around me. So probably single.
Fair enough.
I can't envision anyone. I don't know.
I feel you. I got married by accident on purpose. I met someone and I had no intention of being married. And I was like, you seem cool. So I never, if you ask me 5 years ago, if I envisioned anyone around me, I'd be like, yeah, my dogs. That's it.
Yeah, not even that, because I have phobia from animals. Yeah. So I can see myself there. I don't know. I just can't envision it. I don't see it.
Interesting. Yeah. I feel you. I was pretty much the same, because I knew I have good friends, but yes. I like my space. So
I love my space.
9 p.m. go home. Thank you.
I love my space, and I enjoy being alone as well. So I'm a kind of a person who doesn't mind dining by myself all the time. I literally walk into any restaurant in the world with full confidence, table for one. And I know some people who are so close to me that would never dine by themselves. They just can't. So I go to the cinema by myself, I dine by myself, I travel by myself, and I enjoy it. It's not like because there's no one around. I have friends.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy being alone as well.
Yeah, I feel you on that, because I'm quite extroverted, so I work well in groups, but I learned about myself that I'm okay being on my own as well. You know,
I'm
I had to travel. So I was supposed to go on a girls trip, and then suddenly nobody could make it. I was like, I'm still going.
No way.
I'm still going, and I'm doing my own thing. So I had to go to London, but I didn't have to go. I chose to go because when everyone canceled, I was like, I'm going to go to London. So there was no language barrier.
Okay.
And I just went over there, and I ate myself. The one friend who I did know that lived there, she was busy working, So I was like, listen, whenever you have the time for me, we can hang out, but there's no pressure. So I was walking everywhere, 30,000 steps a day. I would go and see what I feel like eating. If I'm hungry, I'll stop, I'll eat. And it was just so liberating, because
it's so easy to make decisions by yourself, right? It is. You don't have to ask anyone.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Did this affect your relationship with your friends who couldn't make it to the trip?
Not in the time, but a couple years later. I was like...
Because of that?
Well, not because of that.
Okay.
It was one of the things that I was like, when you make a mental note of I didn't really like that, but it's not worth it. It's not enough to
break it. Yeah, but I'll keep a note of it.
I'll just keep a note of it. So eventually, when everything dissolved, I was like, and that one as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I was okay with it at the time. But also, I was younger and less self-aware. So I was such a people pleaser. Like, everyone around me had to be happy, so I wouldn't have done that. Like, I'm like, you guys don't want to come, that's fine. I'll go by myself anyway. And it was a very big step for me.
But did they feel anything about you going, even if they couldn't make it?
Not really. I don't remember experiencing anything negative after that. I just remember
just trying to look at it from a different aspect or point of view.
Exactly. Like, it was kind of just like, okay, she went. That's it.
Okay,
like,
interesting. Yeah. So they didn't take it personal.
No, because they really couldn't make it. Like, there was situations that suddenly popped up, and I was like...
No, but sometimes we have expectations from people.
Yeah, like, that's true.
If I can't go, just pause live. Press pause, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Press pause until I can,
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, yeah.
But I was like, I have annual leave, and I have to bid for my leave a year in advance. I'm going.
I'm not going to miss it.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, but thank you so much for sharing. I learned so much from you, like, not just from you, but I learned a lot about myself as well. So now I know I should eat blindfolded.
Please don't. No, we will work on it without the blindfold.
Yeah, like, really, I truly do want to work on this with you and explore that, because I feel like it'll just better me as a person. And I'm all about self-improvement.
And I do believe that there is a connection between how you eat and other aspects of your personality somehow. Yeah.
Oh, secretly messy.
Secretly. Okay, as long as it's a secret.
Yeah, like, people look at me and they feel like I'm very well put together, because I am a very organized person.
But when it comes to food.
No.
Believe it or not, even with my kind of job and me having an eagle eye on details and all the do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
I enjoy food. But a couple of months ago, I was dining with someone, and I was looking at his plate, and he was so neat. Wow. So neat. Like me, it's so hard to impress me. I'm very hard to please and impress. Like, you know what? I just learned something from you.
Wow.
He eats and he keeps the plate neat, even with food being eaten, during the process.
That is art.
Not by the end of your meal. No, during the process.
Wow.
Like, I just learned something. And since then, I keep an eye on how my food looks like. Maybe I'm complicating life, I don't know, but I like things to look neat. Maybe it's an OCD. Maybe he added to my OCD.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
A little sprinkle of OCD added on.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience, and I still refer to it whenever I feel like things are getting messy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's very messy. And I remember my husband, he's European, he's Lithuanian.
Yes.
And he had a lot more manners when he met me. And I feel like I taught him to eat with his hands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, eat with your hands,
I'm happy you mentioned it. There's nothing wrong with eating with your hand.
Okay.
As long as it's aligned with the culture, the place. In Arabic, we say, لِكُلِّ مَقَامٍ مَقَال. Maybe it's very difficult to understand.
I was like, let's translate.
Where's my interpreter?
Yeah.
لِكُلِّ مَقَامٍ مَقَال, which means every situation has its own rules.
Yeah.
So what you wear, how you sit, how you eat, depends on where you are, who you are with, and what kind of message you're conveying. Very simple.
True.
So I always say it's unfair to bring those international dining standards and applying them on the Arabic cuisine.
Yeah.
It's unfair. It's unfair to ask me to have mlokhiyeh with rice using my fork and knife. It's just unfair.
True.
But where are you while you're having that mlokhiyeh? Are you dining with the president? I hope not.
Yeah.
Where are you? Who are you dining with? What message are you conveying? So if you're in an Emirati restaurant sitting on the floor, of course you're going to eat with your hand.
Yeah, of course.
If you know how to. I don't know how to.
Okay.
I need to. You can teach
I'll teach
me
you.
that.
So we'll just exchange this knowledge.
Although in Jordan we eat mansaf with our hands like gentlemen do, but I don't know how to. It is actually a skill.
Like, I remember my grandma, like, I would watch her eat from my father's side, the Emirati side, and I would watch her eat rice, and I was like, that is a skill.
It is a skill.
Actually, now that I reflect, it came from her. Like, I just love to eat with my hands, but then I will eat everything with my hands wherever I am.
Okay.
So I'm just like,
No, it really depends on who you are with.
Yeah.
What message are you conveying? With your friends is something. With some people now are attending job interviews over a meal. So the first interview is just normal at the office, and they say the second interview, the big boss would like to meet with you over lunch.
Okay.
Why do they do that to you? Why are they exposing you to that? So they want to see how you're dining. How do you dine? How do you multitask between the interview and the food? How do you deal with waiters? And how do you interact out of your comfort zone? So you're being assessed on so many levels.
Yeah, even decision making. Can you decide what you want to eat?
How fast can you do? Did you do your research before going to the restaurant? I am someone who goes through the menu before I go to the restaurant.
Same.
Yeah, because the last thing I want is to waste 15 to 20 minutes thinking about what I'm going to have for lunch or dinner, for example. Especially with people, of course. And on my own, it's okay. So your decision-making skills. Honestly, someone once told me that during such an interview, before the interview, he's the interviewer, he asked the waiter to mess with the order that interviewee is going to make. So, for example, if you ordered your steak well done, please bring it medium well.
Oh, okay.
He wanted to see how he reacts to it. Does he not complain? Does he complain professionally? Does he let it go? How does he treat a waiter when they make a mistake? So yeah, you never know where you need your dining skills.
Interesting. Yeah, I taught my husband how to eat with his hands, and he's like, it tastes so much better. I'm like, it does.
Yeah, you're gonna teach me that.
Yeah, I will.
I was born and raised here, and they still don't know how to eat with my hands. So
it's fine. I was born and raised here, and I struggle to speak Arabic. Like, there's always going to be something. But thank you so much. I really appreciate the time you took to come here, to be a part of Press Pause. It's something very small and close to my heart. And you are literally the first guest who I did not, like, I have a guest wish list of like, oh, these people would be cool. And you were like at the top of my people who slid in my DMs and want to come on the show list.
Yeah, so I'm really happy we made it.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah, and I really loved learning from you. I loved learning about myself as well. Thank you for your time. And for everybody tuning in, Press Pause family, please take a moment, press like, subscribe, comment, follow, so I keep the motivation to continue doing this. I absolutely love doing what I do. And tune in next week. We're going to play a game of Burj Banter, which is Jenga with a twist. We go through a Jenga tower. Each block has a handwritten question on it, written by me, and it's Isra's first time.
Yay! First Jenga experience.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
I will literally jump outside the window.
I bought those sun sticks, SPF 50 PA+++++++++++.
I'm very cliche.
Who I am in the essence of myself.
Everyone say don't believe what you see on social media, but it's not the full truth.
His pie sat at the box. This is your show, whatever you want. The sandwich exchange.
I don't hate them. They scare me.
Look at my 1,000 picture album of my little dog.
I literally sleep.
I'm a Capricorn.
I'm like, okay. Criticize me, and I'll say thank you for the feedback.
Got an elastic heart.